Hello friends! The base 1.6 Ti VCT of the Sigma series is co-developed with Yamaha. Its main difference is reliability. After 160,000 kilometers, the timing belt needs to be replaced. Work should be entrusted only to an experienced minder. None of the gears are keyed. Therefore, the exact procedure must be observed, and the axle bolts must be tightened up to a certain moment. The drive belt has an interesting scheme. It only powers the alternator and the AC compressor. Its service life is about 200,000 kilometers. A feature of the belt drive of mounted units is the absence of a tensioner. Valve clearances are mechanically adjusted. Ford does not set a control interval, but the service recommends that it be carried out simultaneously with the timing update. The problem is that the entire pusher is changing, and for this it is necessary to dismantle the corresponding camshaft. Therefore, it is not recommended to convert the engine to run on LPG. The 1.6 Ti VCT is vulnerable to oil quality. If timely maintenance is neglected, then the resource will not exceed 300,000 kilometers. A symptom of an upcoming overhaul will be increased oil consumption. In some cases, in the atmospheric 1.6, the engine controller fails. This defect bypassed the turbocharged 1.6 EcoBoost. The 1.6 EcoBoost is built on the basis of Sigma series units. The turbo engine provides good dynamics but sometimes betrays its owners. Soot settles on the nozzles, which worsens the spray, and they begin to overflow. Ultimately, this can lead to piston burnout, which will be a death sentence for the engine. Ford does not supply the piston separately, offering to replace the short block assembly. It is also worth adding the problems encountered with the high-pressure fuel pump and the turbocharger. From 2013 on, a small 3-cylinder 1.0 EcoBoost was available from the Fox series. The turbo engine is extremely advanced. It is essential to use genuine Motorcraft Formula E for this engine. It is SAE 5W20 rated and has a distinctive green color. The timing belt is washed in an oil bath, which explains the strict recommendations for oil. Thanks to the unusual scheme, the timing belt changes after 240,000 kilometers or 10 years. Sometimes owners are faced with turbocharger malfunctions. One of the serious shortcomings lies in the cooling system. In addition to the sometimes leaking water pump, burst pipes caused fatal damage. Through them, the heated coolant returned from the turbocharger back to the expansion tank. The material of the pipes could not withstand the high temperature of the antifreeze. Modified pipes have been available since May of 2014, and in 2015, Ford organized a service campaign to eliminate the defect. For EcoBoost series engines, it is extremely important to use original spark plugs and change them every 60,000 kilometers. Otherwise, one of the ignition coils may fail. The 1.6 TDCI and 2.0 TDCI diesel engines meet Euro 5 emission standards and were developed in collaboration with PSA. The smaller one corresponds to the French DV6 and the larger one corresponds to DW10. However, Ford diesels have become more and more different from the original over the years. This is most noticeable in the aftertreatment system. In the 1.6 TDCI, the particulate filter is installed immediately after the catalyst. The simplest particulate filter is used here. Its burning is carried out by supplying an additional portion of diesel fuel. It gets on the catalyst and ignites, thereby increasing the temperature inside the DPF filter. Unfortunately, this solution can lead to dilution of the oil with diesel. However, this is more typical when using biodiesel, which can only be found within the EU. In the 2.0 TDCI, the particulate filter is located the old-fashioned way, i.e., away from the catalyst. Using the same scheme as in the 1.6 TDCI does not guarantee reliable burning. Therefore, a more complex system is used here. Diesel fuel is fed into the exhaust pipe in front of the filter, and its ignition occurs from the glow plug. The 1.5 TDCi and 2.0 TDCi with 170 horsepower since 2014 comply with Euro 6 emission standards, for which they use, among other things, a nitrogen oxide catalytic converter. The 1.6 TDCi is a very good road companion. It is lightweight and heats up quickly. At the same time, it is prone to the accumulation of deposits. First of all, sludge accumulates in the oil pan due to its unfortunate shape. The disease was inherited from a predecessor that met Euro 4 standards. Ford has solved the problem in an interesting way. It ordered the oil pan to be dismantled after 3 oil changes. If the oil pump suction basket is dry, it should have been replaced. The same must be done when replacing the turbocharger. Experienced mechanics use a so-called vacuum cleaner when changing the oil. With it, oil residues in the sump are removed through the dipstick. Some recommend spilling some fresh oil, which will force out the old oil remaining at the bottom of the crankcase. The second cause of deposits, carbonation, is leaky fuel injector seals. After dismantling the injectors, it is necessary to grind the mounting holes in the blockhead. The bearing surfaces of the nozzles change. This is a separate part. The process of removing nozzles in the 1.6 TDCi is simpler than in other similar units. The more powerful 1.6 TDCi versions are less prone to carbonation as they have a stronger seal. True, sometimes the injectors fail. Only the 2.0 TDCi, except with 116 horsepower, could be equipped with an automated power shift dual clutch transmission. The rest were paired with a 6-speed manual. The 1.6 Ti VCT was mated exclusively to GetRag's 5-speed IB5 manual transmission. Despite ease and precise shifting, the design of the box is no longer new. It came to Ford in the mid-90s with the arrival of the Fiesta 96. The IB5 was a bit noisy in the past, but the box has been upgraded since then, and it's no longer noisy in the C-Max. Robotic power shift doesn't fail often. However, individual owners had to change either the clutch or the mechatronics, and for some, both. Every 60,000 kilometers, it is necessary to update the oil in the box. This will help prolong the life of the oil bath clutch. One of the typical robot problems is a faulty shaft speed sensor. At the rear, an independent 4-link suspension is used. Its weak point is the eccentrics, with the help of which the angles of the wheels are adjusted. At long runs, they turn sour. Therefore, there is nothing left but to replace the entire lower arm, of which the eccentric is a part. Otherwise, it is not possible to set the rear axle geometry. Like the platform Ford Focus 3, the C-Max chassis is quite hardy. Thanks to the pleasant prices of some original spare parts, it almost doesn't matter that the lower wishbone on the front axle is replaced only in its entirety with silent blocks and a ball joint. The lever has an unusually massive design made using pure casting. This is not a welded metal sheet construction, as in modern compact models of the Volkswagen concern. C-Max and the Grand C-Max uses long anti-roll bars. Over the years and kilometers traveled, they begin to knock, but like in other cars, they are cheap and easy to change. Sometimes parking sensors fail. Dirt gets on the wiring and causes corrosion. If one sensor fails, the system disables all the others. We have to deal with malfunctions in the operation of door locks. The reason is moisture. Over time, the radiator of the air conditioning system begins to corrode and lose its tightness. If you know of other model malfunctions, be sure to write about it.